Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video mainly will be about the visit that President Trump just had in Saudi Arabia. I believe he's flying back to United States as I'm recording this video. But we will also play a short video with President Putin in which you could hear he had a slip of a tongue, or maybe he didn't, calling the Western leaders idiots, so kind of Medvedev style approach, because as some of you probably know, maybe you don't care anymore because who really does, EU approves 17 package of anti-Russia sanctions. 17, that's a number, everyone. So maybe it will end with 17, but God only knows. So let's go to the visit that Trump had in Saudi Arabia, and few important things with this that I will be mentioning. However, I want to start with something as a reminder how it used to be about 2 years ago. So this is the visit that Biden was making in Saudi Arabia, and this will show you how the welcome went as far as Biden goes. Okay, so now when we have this out of the way, which was quite interesting, let's compare how Trump was welcomed yesterday. I will be playing this without the sound, and I will be giving you some details because he actually is greeted by the very same person who greeted Trump. This is the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, known as MBS in short, and this is how the greeting looks like. So he rolled out the purple carpet, not red carpet, but purple carpet, and he went himself to meet Donald Trump. That's how this looks like. And of course, they walked together, and then they went to the place in which the meetings took place. And now I will be showing you what took place during those meetings. So let's go there, because yesterday, a pretty impressive visit in Saudi Arabia, I have to say. I was watching Trump speech live, and I will be playing part of it because it was an important moment that I want to talk about with my guests. I think tomorrow I might ask these questions at Twitter. Will be joining me at 11 a.m. New York City time during the live stream. So let's go to the deal that has been signed. You don't need the sound really, but I will be playing the video. This gives you the amount in British pounds. However, in dollars, Trump has signed a $142 billion defense deal with Saudi Arabia. I may make this video smaller so it will be better. As you can see, this is the largest defense sales agreement in history. And they have signed it. There was also a delegation from United States. Among people who went there with Trump was the Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Actually, you can see right here is Dan Scavino, who is working for Trump for many, many years. He used to work at his golf course. I think that's how they met. Trump is his mentor. I think one of the most loyal people, actually, that Trump has is Dan Scavino. The defense deal is part of 600 billion Saudi investment commitment for the United States. Here you see Pete Hegseth, the Minister of Defense of the United States. You know, it's interesting. I actually know more about the Trump administration than I know about Polish ministers, because it's such a joke here that I don't even want to memorize their names. So here we have one deal signed. Now let's go to another news. This will be with the sound, because I'm gonna play you something that is already a big news around the world, especially those who have something to do with the Middle East region. And Trump announced to lift the sanctions on Syria. I will play the video for you, but before I do that, I went ahead and I checked what kind of sanctions were placed on Syria by United States. So let's take a look at this. And let me read you. Global sanctions. There is such a website, by the way, so you can just look it up. Current US sanctions on Syria. Syria has been designated by the US on the state sponsor of terrorism list since December 1979, which results in a ban on defense exports and sales, certain controls over exports of dual-use items, and the word I have trouble pronouncing, miscellaneous. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know how to pronounce it. I know when I hear it, financial and other restrictions. Sorry for my English. Additional import and export controls were introduced in May 2004 by the Syria Accountability and Lebanese Sovereignty Restoration Act, and assets freezes were imposed in 2011. Current US sanctions are contained within, here is the number, consisting of an arms embargo, assets freeze, and travel bans. So that's, if you want to get more into details, this is supposed to be lifted. And I'm going to play Trump saying this, making this announcement during his speech in this very impressive room in Saudi Arabia. So let me mute myself and let's go to this announcement.
Which has seen so much misery and death. There is a new government that will hopefully succeed in stabilizing the country and keeping peace. That's what we want to see in Syria. They've had their share of travesty, war, killing, many years. That's why my administration has already taken the first steps toward restoring normal relations between the United States and Syria for the first time in more than a decade. And I'm very pleased to announce that Secretary Marco Rubio will be meeting with the new Syrian foreign minister in Turkey later this week. And very importantly, after discussing the situation in Syria with the Crown Prince, your Crown Prince, and also with President Erdogan of Turkey, who called me the other day and asked for a very similar thing, among others, and friends of mine, people that I have a lot of respect for in the Middle East. I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince. The sanctions were brutal and crippling and served as an important, really an important function, nevertheless, at the time. But now it's their time to shine. It's their time to shine. We're taking them all off, and they're going to have, I think they're going to have, based on the people and the spirit and everything else that I'm hearing about. So I say, good luck, Syria. Show us something very special like they've done, frankly, in Saudi Arabia. Okay, they're going to show us something special. Very good people. Everywhere we can, my administration is pursuing peaceful engagement, offering a strong and steady hand of friendship to all that will take it in good faith. Together, we have made unprecedented strides and tremendous progress, and we're still just at the dawn of the bright new day that awaits for the people of the Middle East, the great, great people of the Middle East. If the responsible nations of this region seize this moment, put aside your differences and focus on the interests that unite you, then all of humanity will soon be amazed at what they will see right here in this geographic center of the world.
So I'm wondering if that was part of the deal, that he will leave the sanctions and then they will sign this, what was it, $143 billion defense deal? 42 billion. I don't know. I'm not an expert in those things. However, something for something, right? Before we go to Putin and before we go to Russia, before we go to sanctions number 17, sanctions is the topic I believe today mainly, I want to play you a video, and that is an interview with MBS, with Crown Prince Mohammed, the very same one you just saw that was giving applause to Trump. This interview has been posted, I think, a year ago or so. So let's take a listen to what he had to say. I never watched any interviews with him. Now I feel like maybe Saudi Arabia is a place to visit and see how they have done it there. You know, one of the spots for my travels. We see how that goes. So let's take a look. Let's take a listen. This is the interview with Crown Prince Mohammed, MBS, and we might learn some things from that interview.
This is the island of Sindala, the first project in Neom, your Vision 2030. It is spectacular. It is really beautiful. You know, a lot of people have described you as a visionary leader. I talked to a number of your citizens, and that's how they describe you. And you didn't even plant them. That's really how they talk about you. And world leaders are saying the same thing. You've had this transformational change, every aspect of the kingdom, economic, social, cultural, religious. Can you give us some specific examples of what your goals are and how you think all of this is going?
Well, simply, we have in the past few issues in Saudi Arabia and a lot of opportunities that we didn't use. We're trying to capture that and to go forward for a better Saudi Arabia. And that's what we're trying to do.
And it's a big vision.
It is a big vision, and we get like surprised every day that we reach our target faster, and we extend that to a newer target.
Hey, my English not so good.
Do you mean my English isn't very good?
Yeah.
And a bigger ambition, so it's really exciting.
Your ministers say you work them hard.
Well, you can see in 2022 we are the fastest G20 country growing, and also in this year, if you take just an non-oil GDP part, we are the second fastest in the G20 growing. So it's like a fight between Saudi Arabia and India, a good fight.
You're making a transition on trying to get different parts of the economy, not a heavy reliance on oil. The role of women in the society has evolved significantly. You know, you had this 2030. What do you see 10, 20, 30 years for Saudi Arabia?
I will give you an example. If you look to late 70s, Saudi Arabia GDP is bigger than South Korea, and now South Korea, I think it's the 10th or 11th largest GDP in the world in 2016, and 2016 we are number 20. So that's a shame. In 1980, we was GDP number, I think, 12 globally, and then in 2016 we are number 20. So we believe if Saudi Arabia and really the perfect track, since that time we will be among the top 7 GDP globally. I'm trying to get Saudi Arabia back on the right track.
You're a data guy.
We can see today we are the largest, number 17 ranked as the largest GDP in the world, but in G20 we are almost ranked number 15 from 20 in just a few years.
The G20, you just mentioned it. You really have become a big player on the world stage. And that G20 rail and ports deal connecting Europe, the Gulf nations, and India, why is that such a big deal?
Logistics is important. If you want to manufacture in your country, if you want to move goods, it's important to have a good logistic plan. You work it with many countries, many regions, to be sure that goods pass in the right time. For example, that project will cut the time of goods from India to Europe by 3 to 6 days. Cut time, save money, and it's more safer, more efficient. So why not? And it's not about only moving goods and railways and ports. It's also about linking grids, energy grids, data, cables, and other stuff will benefit Europe, Middle East, and also India. And most of these energy, all of these energy going to be a green energy that's going to be produced in the Middle East and being exported to Europe and India. So it's a big deal for us and for Europe and for India.
Also mentioned in this deal is Israel. What would it take for you to agree to normalize relations with Israel?
Well, there is approach from President Biden administration to get to that point. For us, the Palestinian issue is very important. We need to solve that part, and we have a good negotiations continue till now. We gotta see where it will go. We hope that it will reach a place that it will ease the life for the Palestinians and get Israel back as a player in Middle East.
There were reports that you had suspended talks.
No, that's not true.
Not true. So you think, if you were to characterize it, are you close?
Every day we get closer. It seems it's for the first time real one, serious. We gotta see how it goes.
Can you make a deal with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu? Is that somebody you can deal with?
Well, in Saudi Arabia policy, we don't interfere of who's running each country, who's there. We work with him. Now we don't have a relation with Israel, but if Biden administration succeeded to make, I believe, the biggest historical deal since the end of the Cold War, then we're gonna start a relationship, and that relationship gonna be continuous regardless of who's running Israel. So,
I mean, he's 73, you're 38, but you think maybe there's a chance that you could deal with him?
if we have a breakthrough of reaching a deal that give the Palestinians their needs and make the region come, we're gonna work with whoever's there.
Not to go too far, but the concessions Israel would have to give the Palestinians, what would that look like?
That's part of the negotiation.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
I
want
got
to
you.
describe things because I want to see really a good life for the Palestinians. So I want just to continue the negotiation with the Biden administration to be sure.
Well, on the
that we do
U.S.
something
side, would there be a defense pact maybe between the Saudi Arabia and the United States? And what would it look like, Article 5 in NATO?
Yeah, first of all, we have some sort of that in the past 80 years. We are the biggest buyer from American armament manufacturing. I believe Saudi Arabia alone is bigger than the next 5 buyers from America. So Saudi Arabia is critical in your armament import economically. And we have a lot of security military ties that really is strengthening the position of Saudi Arabia in Middle East and strengthening the position of America globally, especially in Middle East. You don't want that to be shifted. You don't want to see Saudi Arabia shifting their armament from America to other place. So that document, it will strengthen that. It will strengthen the interest of America, security interest, military interest, and also economical interest. And also it will save effort and headache from the Saudi side of not switching to other places.
You know, there are many people who wonder why you first normalized relations with Iran, a longtime enemy who back in 2017 attacked your oil facilities, but yet not yet Israel. Can you explain that?
Based in situation and politics. So we have a long fight with Iran since '79. We don't want to be that the norm in the Middle East. If there is opportunity to shift that and to go to prosperity and interest and working with Iran and working with other Middle Eastern, bringing Iran to work with the Arab world, with the Middle East, why not? So the Iranian reached to the Iraqis in 2020. The Iraqis talk to us. They start to do that kind of negotiation. We have few obstacles. China come in, solve it, and then we have a good start. We hope that continues. We're trying our best, and also what we see from the Iranians that they're taking this very seriously and they are doing their best. So we are investing in that.
That's a big change, and clearly you can see outside the box on these deals.
Right, you can watch the entire interview. I will attach the link down below in the description box. But here are my few thoughts, and I hope it's okay if I share it with you. Since it's my channel, I think I can. So I was listening to this, and my thoughts now after watching that is this. So Trump is strengthening the relationship with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is on a good terms with Iran. It looks like they are pretty stable there. Saudi Arabia is not on a good terms with Israel. However, Trump is really, really getting close with Saudi Arabia. What does it mean? I think a lot of people look at Trump as he is totally pro-Israel. I think he's showing that side of him, and he is playing that part as far as to the public. And I think there will be a major, major change coming for Israel. Again, I'm not an expert, and maybe I should, you know, I don't really want to be an expert. I just want to listen to my own intuition and share it with you, and everyone can decide on their own what they think and what they believe in. It's not my place to tell you that, but just as an observer, someone who is maybe not savvy in the politics, but now, after a few years of putting out the videos and watching what is taking place and trusting my gut, I feel that what is taking place between United States and Saudi Arabia is on a really big scale. This deal, the military defense deal, it's very important. I think Saudi Arabia will be playing a big part in stabilizing that region. God only knows how Israel will end up, and karma is a you know what. And also that whole situation with Syria, that's another side of the story, because it might seem like Trump is approving what is taking place there, which I don't buy it, excuse me, at all. It's all a game, in my opinion, but let's see. Now let's go to another president, and that is President Putin. Because he is reacting to the comments about sanctions, and I will play this video in a second from TASS. This is from today, I think, May 14th, correct? EU envoys approved 17 package of anti-Russia sanctions. Boy, oh boy. And this, a source in EU institutions said that the approval of restrictions by EU foreign ministers is expected on May 20th. The Committee of Permanent Representatives in the EU has approved a 17 package of sanctions against Russia. It's getting ridiculous. I mean, don't you think? It's just like, what else is new? Number 17, like I said in the beginning of this video, might be the last sanction they ever place. He said, adding that the approval of restrictions by EU foreign ministers is expected on May 20th. And the package will come into force after being published in the official journal of the EU. The 17 package of sanctions would include the EU blacklisting about 60 individuals and legal entities from Russia and its partners, as well as from 50 to 150 tankers that transport Russian oil. All right, everyone. So now let me go to the video with President Putin. And if I will be disappearing for a moment, it's because I have to plug the computer because the battery is running low. So let's take a listen as Putin is calling the Western leaders intentionally or by mistake idiots.
A couple more thoughts in connection with your speech. You said that no economy in the world can be self-sufficient. That is true, but we still need to understand what economic self-sufficiency means in the modern world. We need to understand this. Second remark, we cannot be intimidated by these new possible sanctions. We must not be afraid. Whoever starts to get scared loses everything right away. But it is absolutely necessary to understand what could happen, and we must be prepared for any actions by our potential future adversaries. They do many things to their own detriment. It might seem that they definitely won't do this or that because it harms them, but they still do it, the idiots. Sorry, please. How else? The world's leading economies are sliding into recession just to harm us. It's like buying tickets and not going just to spite the conductor. What kind of behavior is that? So, of course, we must keep in mind that they may do what they publicly declare. And we, of course, must at the very least minimize the negative consequences for us. This also answers the question of what a self-sufficient economy is, whether it can or cannot exist. Everything is interconnected in the modern world. That's obvious. But there are still key aspects that form one of the parameters of our economic independence and sovereignty. We must, of course, be prepared for anything. Now, perhaps, let's move on.
So, mistake or not, true. Idiots they are. Thank you so much for watching. All the links will be attached down below in the description box. Thank you for hitting thumbs up. It really helps with YouTube algorithm, and those of you who subscribe to my channel, also free of charge, I really appreciate. Leave comments down below, let me know. And we don't have to agree on everything. I'm just providing you my side of view, and that's okay because everyone has a right to their own opinion. Tomorrow, like I said before, at 11 a.m. New York time, 5 p.m. Warsaw time, a live stream with Scott Ritter. So join us if you can. If you choose to support my work, it will mean a lot, especially joining me on Patreon, becoming a member of the channel, or joining the locals. And you can also follow me on Instagram. Actually, I might show you this because this will be from Dan Scavino, who was showing yesterday as they were approaching Saudi Arabia with Air Force One. This is the Saudi Arabia welcoming them, escorting them to the airport. Very cool. And here is my Instagram, everyone. So if you don't follow me, make sure you do. It's AniaK_44. This will be update with my travels and ventures around the world, kind of. Pretty much. Thank you so much for watching. I see you tomorrow in another video. Lots of love, and remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. Join me tomorrow during the live stream with Scott Ritter. Once again, 11 a.m. New York City time and 5 p.m. Warsaw time. Bye, everyone.